it slowly snowballed into something that I could not control, and that was heroin.
The people that are addicted, and they have been addicted for many years, they fall into homelessness. They don't have jobs, they can't hold jobs. They're literally addicted and they're using daily.
We know that opioid addiction in our community takes far too many lives. It hurts too many people.
My initial thought was, I need to save my son, but I didn't know how.
Oh, I'd probably still be actively using in prison or dead, definitely with the road I was on. Definitely.
When they asked him what he was currently using, it was unbelievable to me. It was unbelievable to me that, where did my son get this stuff?
You know, making the arrest and hoping that'll solve the problem just wasn't working. It was too widespread. There was too many people we kept arresting over and over and over and over again with no results. With this, you know, low-level criminal activity based on their addiction, how essentially when we put them in a criminal justice system, what we do is create a better criminal who now has no access to government services and has to sustain himself by being a criminal. How does that make sense?
So what we've done is we've created a criminal. A worse criminal that we had at the very beginning. Because to begin with, we had a guy who used to shoot up heroin, smoke heroin, or maybe pop some pills. He was a low-level, non-violent drug offender. And now he's desperate to do whatever he has to do to take care of himself for the rest of his life.
Spending to incarcerate somebody versus, I think, what was the last cost study? It was maybe $49,000 for a year to incarcerate them, but it turned out to be $7,000 per year for a LEAD program. You do the math.
Addiction is really, it is something that's going on in the brain, but it's about what's happened to the clients over the course of their lives. You know, nobody chooses to be addicted to a substance. And the more, you know, that we learn about the way this works in the individual brain, things that happen to the individual in their early life, trauma, neglect, family violence, those kind of things, really create issues in the developing brain in terms of capacity to handle pain, both physical and emotional pain, to manage stress effectively, to even get pleasure out of life. And so the substance is a way to deal with those deficits they have rather than what is creating the problem for it. So the addiction is not the beginning of a problem. The addiction is kind of an end result of what's happened to a person over the course of their life.
This is not an abstinence-based program. It's based on harm reduction. Harm reduction to me and for this program means that we meet you where you're at in your life, and whether that's you coming into my office and you are high today, I am meeting you where you are. I'm not shaming you. I'm not by any means judging you. Harm reduction also is another aspect of, if you are still using, we can't stop you from doing that. Here are some ways for us to work on so you can do it safely. Getting them involved in the needle exchange program, carrying naloxone on them if they're still using, different ways to be safe while you're using.
That's why as a community we're confronting it head on, and we're addressing the issues of opioid addiction in a way that brings people together, that brings a coalition of partners to focus on treatment, on prevention, on making sure that the issue of opioid addiction is treated as a health issue, not a criminal issue.
when LEAD came around, it was very easy for me to buy into this project because it was very evident to me that arresting people was not a way to solve this problem.
50 are actively participating and are not now actively committing crimes. You know how many property crimes we probably stopped as a result of that without making one arrest?
LEAD is a pre-booking diversion program that directs low-level offenders into treatment and rehabilitation rather than into the criminal justice system. Myself as a patrol officer, I try to kind of just get to know people when I respond to calls, whether it's a shoplifting or a suspicious vehicle, or I kind of just try to build some type of rapport to figure out what the root issue is. Then I can figure out what their needs or wants are, and one of those would be diverting them into our program if they're willing and believe that it's a good time for them to make a change in their life.
I'm in a good place now. Today, I have everything I've ever wanted. And it's not materialistic stuff. This is my family, it's my integrity. I work an honest job and I make an honest living, and at the end of the day, it makes me happy as long as I go home to my family.
He's a great dad. He's got 3 kids that love him, and he's learning how tough it is to be a parent.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
It's
I just feel it's important to share our success and my son's success because it can make a difference.
Now, I look forward to doing a lot of things. Anything that's fun to me now. Like just taking my son for a walk to the park. He's not even old enough to go to the park, and I'm like, let's go to the park.
Their dream and their goal was to get back into school, and their drug addiction kept them from that, putting them on medically assisted treatment, and 2 months later they're in there, they're getting their GED, or they're fulfilling their dream of going back to school and doing what they want to do.
The more people who are functioning and working and improving their life or in a community, your overall community health is going to improve.
It's changed tremendously. I have relationships with my family again. I have positive relationships with friends that are clean and sober.
He's the most giving individual. He was always a giving individual with a huge heart. So I have the son that I once had and lost.
4, 5, 10 years ago, I was homeless, sleeping under a bridge, couch surfing. My family wanted nothing to do with me. I sold my car to the dope man. I was dodging my landlord. Gas, electric was shut off. I didn't have a job. And here I am today.